Backstage.
All right, we're back. Damien Gendron, Backstage Vancouver, and we have Cathy Brown here with us. Hi, Cathy.
Hi there, how are you?
Oh, great. Isn't this a beautiful day?
Perfect day to end the summer.
Oh, it's just unbelievable. You are a photographer.
I am.
And I have seen some of your stuff on Flickr and on your webpage, and I really like your aesthetic. And I'm wondering if you can talk to us a little bit about where does that aesthetic come from?
I think it comes from a couple of places. First of all, I've been in the field of public relations for almost 40 years. And, you know, you're telling someone's story. And in the beginning, of course, it was all with words. My photography allows me to tell a story with pictures. So that definitely is part of where that comes from. I think the other part it comes from is the fact that I felt very moved to convey a history of what I do in travel, in events, in food, in other experiences I've had, and I think that was propelled by a couple of overseas trips I never expected to have, and also after the death of my husband about 3.5 years ago, it literally kept me sane and gave me a new focus that I could really wrap myself around in and be passionate about. And it's resulted in some pretty damn good pictures, and I'm very proud of what I do. Excellent,
excellent. Now, I know you told me you're not a technical person, but what camera gear do you use?
I carry it around with me all the time. I do use my iPhone for very quick shots.
Right.
But my primary camera is a Nikon D7000.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of interchangeable lenses that I use. I don't use the window on the camera as some people may expect I do. I actually use the camera viewfinder, and because the shutter speed is quicker, and even though I don't really see what I'm doing and don't see the shot until it's on my computer, it produces a better picture. So some people are kind of surprised that I don't use that large screen on the camera.
Yeah, what do they call that? I don't either, because I'm from the old days, the film days, where we didn't have live view.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't, to be honest, I don't use it much either. So what you mentioned, you didn't see it. Why don't you tell everybody why?
I was a child of the early 50s. I turned 60 this year, and I was extremely premature. I weighed 2 pounds. And I like to say I was overcooked in the incubator. A lot of kids in that era had the same experience. I was lucky because I wasn't totally blind. I have 10%, roughly 10% vision in my right eye and nothing in the left.
Right.
And I've always considered myself very fortunate. I never went to any special school. I've been in the regular school system all my life. I'm the only person in my family to graduate from university, and so I'm pretty proud of my accomplishments. I actually did a degree in Greek and Latin, which of course you see how useful that was to me. But that's the history of what happened to me. So I've always been this way, and I've always adapted.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really felt hampered, except for the one small fact that I can't drive. So there's that independence thing that I've always wanted and never got. So the first thing I do when I win a lottery is I'm going to buy a car and a chauffeur.
That's right. That's right. So that's what I've always, I know I met you at a little event amongst friends, and I was very curious when I did, because here's a photographer that is vision challenged. And I thought, wow, and I didn't know what to expect when I went onto your Flickr. I really didn't. Everybody says that they like their photographs because it's a personal thing. But I really must say that you are a darn good photographer, and you're very creative, and I find it amazing that you'd even be interested in something like that. But my goodness, yeah, you know what you're doing, and you've got some good gear there.
Well, it's interesting. I find it amazing that people find it amazing, because for me it seems like almost second nature, and I don't know why. Maybe it was something that I should have discovered years ago, but I think the technology helps, the digital photography helps, the gear certainly helps.
Mm-hmm.
But I find it extraordinary that I can do the things I do, that I don't see what I'm taking, but it's in here, and it's in here.
Mm-hmm.
And it translates into the stuff that I do, and I'm pretty proud of it. My goal, I guess, if I had one, is to convince people out there that I'm worth paying.
Mm-hmm.
And I will produce good work.
Absolutely.
And
now, what type of gigs do you prefer to do?
Well, I love events because they're very energetic. They're full of motion and activity, and I love food and wine events because there's such beauty to shoot, because people are creating something.
Mm-hmm.
I love nature stuff. I love wandering around, taking flowers and beautiful things like that. I love travel.
Right.
So I love capturing the essence of a city or a country, just in the way I capture two people having a conversation. I did one, I got that in France with two guys who just happened to be talking and gesturing and had a cigarette in one hand, and one guy had a beret on, and you knew exactly what country I was in
when
I took that shot. And it was just a brief minute in time, but every shot I take captures a moment.
Right.
And that's what I love.
Well, a moment that's gone forever.
That's right. And a moment that I wouldn't have myself. And that is something that people don't always appreciate, is that the camera lets me share a world with other people that I don't even see myself.
Mm-hmm.
So what I actually see then when I put my stuff on Flickr is a revelation to me as well as anybody else, because it's like, hey, that happened,
mm-hmm.
And then I can capture the detail that I didn't have before. You may not know this, but on Flickr there are tons of groups. There is a blind photography group on Flickr. It's about 300 people.
Wow. And
they are fabulous. I joined that group a couple of years ago, but often you'll see stories from these people that say, they'll use their camera for even mundane things like taking a picture of their pill bottle and then blowing it up so they can read the prescription.
Right.
It's a tool as well as a means of capturing a moment or telling a story. It can be that practical.
Mm-hmm.
I can use the zoom lens on my iPhone or on the camera to actually read addresses on doors.
Right.
Because I can't read them from the street.
It's almost like a detached bionic eye.
Kind of. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me some of your favorite surprises. I know I'm also a professional photographer, and one of my favorite things used to be and still is long exposures, because you really never know what you're going to get. The light multiplies and multiplies and multiplies the longer the shutter's open, and sometimes I can't even see it with my naked eye, much like yourself. It's too dark out. But if I leave the shutter open long enough, it'll bring out things that are just fabulous. So for you, what are some of your absolute favorite shoots that you've done in the past?
You're going to have to teach me about long exposures, because that's something I haven't done very often, and I'd love to learn. I guess I could even think of something as recent as a month ago or so, I went to an event called Dîner en Blanc, which I had not been to, knew nothing about, wasn't interested in carting tables and chairs and things and sitting and actually doing it, but I spent 3 hours going up and down the rows of tables. There were 3,500 people there in David Land Park. Huge event. And I captured some moments that I'll never forget, and I did something different too. I shot half of it in black and white and half in color, and that gave me a totally different perspective on the event. But one of the things I captured, they had one of these aerial acrobats, you know, on a piece of cloth, and she twirls and twists and does all kinds of things on this piece of cloth. And I took several pictures of her. I took several in black and white, and when I actually exposed them on my iMac, I almost cried because I was so surprised and actually blown away by what I captured. I didn't think I had.
Right.
So, you know, it's something like that. It's something like those two French guys. It's something like capturing two people kissing at a bus stop.
Yeah.
Or, you know, a look on my cat's face, and it sounds funny, but every once in a while you get a doozy. It's all of that. It's capturing life in a split second, which is just so memorable.
Okay, so how do people get a hold of you if they'd like to get you on a production or do some you know, some stills for posters or what have you? Where are you on the net?
I'm really easy to find because everything is just my name. It's Cathy with a C and Brown with an E at the end. And if you Google me, I'm the first Cathy Brown on Google. And so I am on Twitter as Cathy Brown, and on Facebook, same thing. I have a blog called Seeing Things, which is rather tongue-in-cheek, but it works. And that is cathybrown.com.
Right.
And I'm pretty everywhere, and I'm very transparent, so I'm very easy to find.
I noticed you've got some Flickr photographs too.
I have a Flickr account, and that's the same. Just my name, just Cathy Brown.
Right.
And
I'll put it on the screen. So you're okay. So and you're in town here full time.
I'm local Vancouver.
Yeah.
I'm very mobile. As long as there's public transit, a ferry, a train, or a boat, or a plane, I can get to places. Right.
And I can attest to you being very pleasant to be around. So that's all good too. So with that, I'm going to let you go, and thank you very much for coming.
Well, thank you. This was a real joy to do.
Oh, excellent.